Hello friends, this is Christian Wiese. Today I want to convince you that God is infinitely more creative than you are. So let me start with awareness, which at least to me has become the holy grail of spirituality. Many names for it: I am, the power of now, or Krishnamurti. The first step is the last step. I also argue that all of us have experienced it. It's a very blessed state, full of silence, love, equanimity, vibrating energy. It's some sort of a clean slate. It happens before the thought, before the experience. Many, as a matter of fact, most YouTube presentations are about that, and most speakers argue you always have access to that divine gate, let's call it that way. And I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I know that's a fact, and good for those speakers that they are in it, mostly, I presume. But I would like to say that for many of us, there is a back and forth between the two states. Those eternal eyes, or those that creative force always flows through us. It's just sometimes the thoughts, the beliefs, the event in front of our eyes that we disagree with gets the upper hand, and we are a little stuck in that moment, and we are not that with a capital T. And that's also fine. We have to deal with it. What I do want to say is that we are so you are checking out this video, which means that you are very serious about the spiritual quest. You might be occasionally disappointed about the progress, but I would argue that you are really on a 24/7 basis observing. There are always those eternal eyes behind you. Even when you're caught in the manifestation, caught in the desire, there is still some serenity behind everything that records and invites you to learn your lesson. And that's absolutely fine. Something that I do, at least I've observed it in me, the unconscious state disappears. You see, before awakening, sometimes one is so engaged in the moment that, in a sense, even that eternal observer or that creative force kind of is temporarily overridden. And I think that really completely disappears. And I have talking about God's creativity, I have a really fun example in that direction. I was in one a group where somebody reported that she sometimes in the Boston traffic has road rage. And then one day she observed how she was cut off at exactly the same spot, by exactly the same car. And she completely, I don't want to say froze, but I would say she started smiling. Because, I mean, what are the odds? The first time around, of course, she was outraged how that obnoxious driver could just cut her off. But then the second time, you just cannot help smiling at the serendipity of the event. And you suddenly say, oh, kind of thank you. Thank you for the reminder to be mindful. I do believe there is a very playful option out there for all of us, where even though we might be caught in the desire, might be caught in the manifestation, there is always that background noise that reminds us, hey, just observe what's going on. And I think when we reach that state, life becomes a lot of fun. And yes, one can go to Rupert Spira and to Moji and get yet another refresher of how to be in the here and now. And that's absolutely fine, because when I listen to those presentations, I'm also in the here and now. They have that hypnotic voice, that vibration that just connects you, and that's beautiful. But when you're out there, don't be sad or mad if you feel you cannot connect to that force. And that's all right. Just be self-aware. Just observe what's going on in your environment. God is really, really creative and helps you to be connected to the here and now. So I would say that thoughts and feelings, they're not even ours. They're swirling around. I mean, just take one. I'm now recording in February of 2025, when many changes occur. Donald Trump has just been elected, and some people like him, some people hate him, but in a sense it's an energy. It's an energy that we have seen before. And yes, we may be called to be, if you're a lawyer and you are involved in those endless lawsuits that are happening in Washington, sure, fight your fights to the best of your knowledge. But otherwise, it's an energy field that is swirling, that has been there before. Nobody forces us to jump on it. And we can observe this in all kinds of areas, whether it's romantic love, whether it's profession, whether it's accumulation of wealth, or the fear that we are not having enough. If you really observe, just a swirling energy field, and you very much have the ability to jump off of it. So that is not awareness per se, but it is self-awareness with an extra element where you start realizing that you are part of oneness, and that's a beautiful spot to be. I have one example today. I was in the gym, and in the morning there is typically not so much traffic, but there are always some machines which are quite popular. So you always have to be a little smart about scheduling your routine to make sure you also get access. And there was one machine, and it almost looked like I couldn't get to it. First there were two people on it. When there were two people on a machine, that's bad news. It takes a long time. Then there was somebody where I already had a run-in with him. I said, oh my God, I probably will not get this machine. And then just as I was about to step out of the gym, I observed there's an opening to get it. And guess what? Just as I was going towards it, somebody else came. And of course, I immediately says, oh, had I only been faster, and so forth. But then there was a voice in me that says, you know what? Just stop it. This is, again, the me versus them. Just stop. There's a good reason why you can't get access to this machine. So just go home. It's all right. And in that moment, I observed that the person who supposedly took that machine was, in fact, cleaning it up, wiping it up. So he had been there before, but he came back to clean it. And I really had to smile, because the moment I said, you know, why don't we go back from the me versus them and go towards oneness, the universe presented, well, why don't you have a look, this gentleman is actually cleaning the machine for you, go right ahead. So I don't want to say that you should be after those events, hunting after synchronicity and so forth. That is not right. But I am saying that what you can do on a 24/7 basis is just be aware with the inner voice, be aware of what's going out in the outside world, and give oneness a shot. And you will find that there are incredible creativity that happens because the universe is really rooting for you. It's really, you are awareness. And to the extent that you are not yet connected, there are always those signs that allow you to connect. So I love playing around with acronym, perhaps just because then I can better myself remember them. So the acronym I came up with to deal with the here and now is play the ACE. A for acceptance. Accept the moment at hand. And if you don't, inquire who is resisting. C for curiosity. Just understand. Life is so creative and is, as a matter of fact, rooting for you as long as you get yourself out of the way. So if you instead feel very dull at the moment, just ask, who is dull at the present moment? Because life is actually quite creative and really on your side. And lastly, E for equanimity. Always approach the moment as, I have no idea what's happening. I don't know whether it's good or bad perceived from the ego perspective, but I am really open to the next moment at hand. Equanimity, and to the extent that you feel there is an agenda that you have, there is something you want to get out of the present moment, ask, who is it that has an agenda? Once again, J. Krishnamurti, he was always very good with coining those phrases. The first step is the last step. That is the moment at hand. It's complete. It's beautiful. There's nothing you need to add. There's nothing you need to scheme. It's beautiful. Just accept the present of the moment at hand. And otherwise, if the I comes back, if there is indeed something that you just can't shake, be it professionally, be it with partnerships, be it with health or with wealth, all right, accept it. Just accept that you have to struggle a little bit. There is something, a belief system within you that needs to be understood, needs to be put out in the open. And if it takes a little while, so be it. Just deal with it. And the three points that allow you to see whether you have a chance of breaking free is insight. Do you understand what's going on? Surrender. Is there literally in you the desire to say, this nonsense has to stop, there must be a way? The moment when you say there must be a way, the way always appears. And lastly, the chance for letting go. And life is great in that. It pretty much sets you up for the letting go perspective. So my approach is a little different than many of the other teachers. They all kind of operate on, well, you are awareness, just work on that. And once again, I'm not disagreeing at all with that. It's fine if it works for you. But I go with, when I work with people, I'm a spiritual life coach, and when I work with people, I always go with what Carl Gustav Jung once said, the psychologist. In the first stage of our life, we develop a sane ego, and in the second stage of life, we let go of it. I think we can always operate on both levels. So whenever there's a problem, there's always the issue of what exactly is the belief system that you have outgrown and you just have to let go of. But also second, the reminder, the here and now has all the answers. There's no process necessary. We can always look at life from both sides. And I think once you do that, you really have amazing breakthroughs. At least that was what happened to me. All right. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. So be open to God's creativity and let it amaze you. All the best. Bye.